Okay, so we should be live now. Let's see. Where's look on my phone here. Should have somewhere on here. Is it actually going? No, it's still got the black screen on there. I don't know why the screen is black. What are we doing? What are we doing? There we go. Okay, so here we are with another Super 7 Ultimates Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And you can see that this one's got a fairly interesting box. They give this guy a unique slipcover. Look how it's all shiny. It's like metallic purple. Just to compare, since I happen to have over here, this will probably be the next one I open up, which is the Mauser. You see that one's just kind of matte purple, but this one's all shiny and metallic. It's the Shredder, of course. And you got a manhole cover there with the Shredder's masked face on it. The two claws on either side. So, but it is interesting that they decided to give this guy a shiny case because he is a much more metallic Shredder than the last version that we got. So technically, this is supposed to be the Toon version. You know, Playmates back in the 90s did Toon Turtles figures, and they did a repaint of the Shredder that was a little closer to how he was colored on the cartoon series. We can see he's got the blue packaging that the villains have with the blue bricks, little foot graffiti on the back. But yeah, Playmates just basically took the original Shredder figure and repainted him so he had silver armor, which is what Super 7 did here. But Playmates also, whoops, knocked over that broken in half Casey Jones figure I had standing there. We'll just move him over there out of the way. I haven't glued him back together yet. But yeah, Playmates, when they repainted the Shredder, they also painted his torso gray, so it looked like he was wearing a gray shirt, again, to match up the cartoon. Super 7 chose not to do this for whatever reason, so he's still got a bare chest, like the original Shredder figure had, but he is, other than that, colored like how the Shredder was in that Toon figure to an extent. From what I understand, and I don't remember seeing this myself, there was an early prototype of the Shredder that did show up in some promotional materials of the original figure, where he was painted with silver armor rather than blue. And Playmates chose not to release him that way for whatever reason. I don't know what the thought process was as far as and I have the regular Super 7 figure here. I don't know what the thought process was at Playmates as to giving him blue armor as far, instead of silver armor. Maybe it was a cost-cutting measure. Maybe the blue paint was cheaper than the silver paint, or silver plastic was more expensive than blue plastic for the blades. Or maybe it was just something as simple as like the silver paint didn't dry right on the rotocast heads. Maybe the silver paint just didn't dry as fast. I don't know. I'm guessing it's some kind of cost-related measure as to why Playmates decided to go with the Shredder in blue armor rather than silver armor. But regardless, when they did the Toon Shredder figure, I guess by that point they'd straightened it out, and they were able to do a silver Shredder. Unfortunately, that Shredder is a bit more rare than the regular Shredder. So I've tried to find one online, like on eBay and stuff like that, but he's always fairly expensive when I can find him. More than I want to pay for it anyway. And honestly, yeah, I could probably just get the regular Shredder and paint his armor silver if I wanted to. Before we open up the figure, which I already started to do, Let's go ahead and read the bio on the back. It says, Shredder, the bad guy leader. Shredder is the hideous, gruesome, and all-around bad guy leader of the Foot Clan and the organized band of evil ninjas. This lowlife came to power when he betrayed his ninja master, Hamato Yoshi, now Splinter. So, yes, indeed, in whatever continuity that the Super 7 figures follow, the Hamato Yoshi became Splinter in that version. So, where was I? Shredder wants nothing more than control of the world. And to get there, he'll stop at nothing, even if it means grating his victims like cheese with his razor-sharp armor. The obstacles in his path are none other than the turtles, and he means to destroy them. So, I'd mentioned in the last episode, which was my Black History Month figure for this year, Mr. Terrific. I'd mentioned that this figure I kind of feel like is at least Black History adjacent because the Shredder was played by James Avery, a black actor, whom I am a big fan of. Even besides playing the Shredder, he also played Philip Banks on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and Uncle Phil being my personal favorite sitcom dad. Between playing Uncle Phil and the Shredder, yeah, I'm a big fan of James Avery. I thought he was a great actor, and we lost him way too soon. So shout out to you out there in the cosmos, wherever you are, James Avery. You are remembered. So he's got one of these little extra blisters in the back that should have some accessories in there. But since they've stopped doing the separate accessory tree by this point, all he's got back there is the plastic purple cape. I'll set that aside for now. And even though he doesn't have the weapons tree anymore, he still has a plethora of weapons. A ninja arsenal, if you would. So he's got a twist tie holding him in there. Go ahead and take that out. And that's got a little piece of plastic in there to protect the figure from the twist tie, which I think is good. I approve of that. And then let's see. Got a bunch of accessories in here, like I said. He's got one accessory that the original Super 7 Shredder figure did not have, or at least a duplicate of an accessory that previously had one. So he's got extra hands. He's got 4 extra hands. He's got gripping hands actually on the figure. And then for both the left and the right hand, we have a closed fist. And for both the left and the right hand, we have this open hand. Now, Mark Taylor said when he was designing the Shredder, these are both for the left hand. When he was designing the Shredder, he wanted to have that open hand, so it looked like he was doing some kind of mystical ninja move. So we'll go ahead and get those hands out. Blue White Mario is here and says, "Hi, Alan, it's me again." Hi, Blue White Mario, it's Alan again. Hope you're doing well today. So yeah, and I believe that both of these sets of hands are identical to each other, other than the fact that that they're reversed. So they probably just mirrored that as a digital file. So we got, like I said, 2 fists and 2 open hands. And the 2 hands that are actually on the figure right now are the gripping hands. And one of these accessories was trying to make an escape. So I guess we'll take these out next. And then we have 2 katana swords. Now, if you remember on the previous Super 7 figure, he came with 1 katana sword. This one comes with 2 katana swords, so that's nice. And also, they are different from the previous one because instead of having the brown handle that those had, I think it was a brown handle. Maybe it was a black handle, but whatever. It was. It wasn't purple, is what I'm saying. This guy's got purple for his the hilts of his katana, which I like that because that shows our boy knows how to accessorize. So let's see, what else do we got in here? We got 2 ninja stars. And, okay, cool. Remember how I said I couldn't quite find where his ninja stars were when I was looking at April, and I was talking about how her ninja stars seem to be much smaller. Here we can see how much smaller, and something just fell out of here. What fell out of here? I heard something fall, but what was it? So we already took out both of those hands. Ninja star, the fist daggers. I don't know what it was that fell out of here. I heard something fall. I think it must have just been the twist tie, because the twist tie isn't in here anymore. Yeah, here it is. It fell on the keyboard. Well, we don't need that anymore anyway. I'm going to put that over in my little trash bag there. All right, so let's move on to some of these other accessories. So we got the two different versions of the fist dagger, the smaller one and the larger one. And this is the one that I've mentioned before. When I was a kid, this one would have been molded all in that brown plastic. Blue Art Mario asks, can you say good morning, Alan? Good morning, Alan. Good morning to you, Blue White Mario. I hope you're doing well today. All right, but yeah, this one would have been molded just in all brown plastic in the original toy. Just like all the accessories in those original toys were molded in all brown plastic. And this was the one that when I was a kid, I used to put it in the turtle's hands and pretend like it was a piece of pizza. So a lot of people are talking about how odd this is the design of a fist dagger. I think what Playmates was going for when they designed this, my suspicion as to what they were going for when they designed this. Oh, and here's the one that came with the previous Shredder figure. I do still have it sitting on my desk. See, that brown color I was talking about earlier. But yeah, I suspect that it was supposed to be like a climbing claw type of thing. Blue at Mario says, also, could I join you in the stream because I want to talk? Well, you're here right now. You're here right now. What's up? So let's see. Where was I? Oh yeah, we got to get these. We got to get these throwing stars out of here. I mean, like, if you want to actually like be in the stream, we can do that sometime. We can try that out sometime. But right now, I got to open up this action figure. So here we go. So we got two of these 5-pointed ninja stars. There we go. All right. And then the I researched this type of fist dagger before because I wanted to know more about it. Because I see it oftentimes characters using these, like you see Foot Clan members using these in the original comic book. Although they're this is a more simplified version of it. But actually, the name of this dagger is called a Qatar. And I believe it's Indian in origin. But also another character that I remember seeing use this in comic books was none other than Hawkman, whose real name is Qatar Hall. So that's probably why they decided to. Tim Truman, I think, was the one who first had him using this particular type of fist dagger. And yeah, so it's probably a little bit of a pun on his part. And then the we got the, well, let me get this cut out. It's got tape over it. This, I believe, is called a comma, if I remember correctly. That's K-A-M-A. Not comma like punctuation, comma. K-A-M-A. And again, one of these came with the previous Shredder figure, but remember it had a brown handle instead of a purple handle. This one's got a purple handle. The fist dagger has a purple hand. All these have purple handles. I like the purple as an accessory color for him. I think that's pretty cool. All right. And then the last accessory is this head that is embedded deeply in the package. And I thought I was going to have a much harder time getting it out, but I was able to get it out fairly easily. Very shiny silver paint on that. I think it looks really cool. Other than that, it looks almost identical to the one that came on the previous Shredder figure. It's just silver instead of blue. And I should point out that this guy has a just ever so slightly different skin color from the previous one. This one's a little more tanned, you know, just slightly darker. I like this skin color better, honestly. If I got to pick one over the other, I think they did a little bit of a better job with the, you know, I like for the characters to have like a little bit more of a robust kind of tan skin color personally. And then last but not least, as far as the accessories, we have this canister of mutagen ooze, which I don't believe that the previous one came with the ooze. It's stuck in there pretty deep, so I'm gonna try to actually cut the packaging, hopefully without damaging the ooze canister too much. That'll make it a little easier to get it out. And it's mostly painted silver. The whole tube, you can see, is mostly painted silver, but it does have like some little yellow stripes on it, some little diagonal yellow stripes on there to denote caution, I suppose. So let's set the ooze canister aside for now. And I believe that's it for the accessories. That's finally all the accessories. He had a bunch of accessories, even without having the accessory tree. I feel like he's still got a ton of accessories. And he's still got a couple of accessories left to talk about, because there's the ones that are already on the figure, which is the fabric soft goods cape and the elastic belt. Now, the elastic belt is held by a Velcro clasp in the back. Let's go ahead and take that off. The main purpose of that, of course, is to hold the belt, or to hold the cape around his waist, like the Playmates figure was supposed to wear his belt. But what's the point in having a wired cape if I can't have it all flowing around? So again, I wanted to compare the colors here, and it does seem like it's a very similar sort of purple color. It looks almost identical on the screen, but in person, I think that the purple on the silver Shredder is just slightly darker and slightly more rich and vibrant, just ever so slightly. It's the sort of thing where it's like, if I saw them separately, I couldn't tell you what the difference was, but if I'm seeing them together, I can see a slight difference. But again, on the camera, you can't really tell. They both look the same. Anyway, unfortunately, since you know, it was held in the package with that belt, that does give some wrinkling on the back, but this guy had the same problem, and it seems to have straightened out a little bit. So hopefully it'll straighten out with this guy too. All right, so other than that, other than the silver and the slightly different skin color, it does seem like the Shredder, other than that, is he's got the same black pants, and he still has purple trunks, purple wraps around his feet and around his forearms, but it's a slightly darker shade of purple. And in fact, it's so dark that I almost thought maybe he didn't have trunks at first, that he just had plain black pants. But you can see it actually better on the camera, I think, than you can see it in person, that it is a different color. It is actually indeed purple trunks over black pants. All right. And the head that comes on the Shredder is interesting because if you remember, the original one came with this head on there, and it came with an alternate head, which I don't have handy right now, but the alternate head was painted to resemble the original action figure, where like there was actually like skin over the top of the helmet because of the way the original figure was painted. It looked weird. And this guy's got an alternate head, you know, because I guess why not? But they did something different with this one, since Toon Shredder. I don't remember if they painted the forehead on the helmet on that one, since I never had that one. But I'm guessing they decided to not do that with this figure, because this one, you can see the helmet is painted properly. And he's got the purple face mask, like the original figure had a purple face mask. And like I said before, I kind of feel like the original mask, like, I don't think they understood on that figure that it was supposed to be like a metal faceplate, and it was sculpted to have these sort of wrinkles in there. And they kind of sculpted this head to resemble that somewhat, but it's a little more simplified, a little more stylized. You could still imagine that being a faceplate, although it is painted in purple. And of course, on the original figure, it was painted in purple, and he had a blue helmet. But this one is pretty much identical to that head that's on the first figure, except for it's got a silver helmet instead of a blue one. This one has, you can see, a silver helmet and a silver mask, silver faceplate, but they have all the skin on his face is shaded over. So they have like all the skin painted black. Like, how much more black can this be? And the answer is none. None more black. Now, I don't believe they ever colored the Shredder that way on the original cartoon. I think his skin was always visible. It wasn't ever shaded over like that. But this is something that we saw fairly frequently in the Mirage comics. A lot of panels would have the Shredder where, like, his face was all shaded over. And you might remember that the Mirage, the Worms of Madness Shredder figure, that one had his face all shaded over like that. But something else they did is, you can see he's got the eyeballs in there, and I kind of feel like if they were going to do the face shaded over like that, they should have just done the whited out eyes also, instead of doing the eyeballs, and that would have been a little more true to the Mirage look, I think. So it looks like his blades got a little bit warped in the package. You see that one's bending down a little bit more than it should. And the right hand seems fine, but the left hand has that sort of thing going on. Maybe I can straighten it out later. I don't know. It looks to me like I don't know what base color is underneath here, but it looks to me like they painted the silver onto the armor on his forearm and his shoulder and his shin here. But I don't see any plastic peeking through anywhere. I don't see any spots where they missed it or it chipped in the package or anything like that. So I can't quite tell what the color of plastic is underneath. I would hope what they did is they use silver plastic, and that way if it does chip, it'll just look the same. It won't really be that apparent. But I like that they actually painted the silver on. I think that was a good choice, because as I pointed out many times before, with characters with silver plastic on it, anytime you do silver plastic, and Faker here, I think, has a good example of that. I don't know if it's coming across in the camera really, but silver plastic is always by nature kind of ever so slightly translucent. And I think you can kind of see the light coming through it at least a little bit on there through the camera. But when you're doing silver plastic, it's got like little particles of the metallic coloring in there. That's what makes it silver. So that's got to kind of shine through. And the silver paint to me always looks a little bit more like metal, because like I guess they can get like more of the metallic particles into it. I don't know, but it looks good. I think he looks really sharp. The purple, that kind of deep dark purple with the black and the silver, and it all works. It all works really well together. It all blends really well together. I think he looks really cool. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to pop off we'll call it the Mirage inspired head. If it'll pop off, it seems like it's on there really good. I might not be able to get it off. Oh, I hope it doesn't do the thing where it pulls the neck out. But I would like to try to put the other head on there. There we go. Okay, good. All right. And I bet if I had that hard of a time getting that head off, I'm going to have a devil of a time getting this head on, too, since it hasn't been stretched out yet. But we managed to get it on. I didn't hear it pop, but it felt like, and it's on there solid. Like, it's not coming off. It's not, I'm going to have to really yank it to get it off. That one's for free. Okay, so there he is with the more Playmate style head, I guess you should say. And I want to say that again, the Toon Shredder figure actually had a silver mask rather than the purple mask. I could be mistaken about that. Like I said, I never was able to get that figure when I was a kid. But he looks pretty cool. And it does go with the cape. So if you do imagine that mask as being fabric, it would be, I guess, part of the same fabric as the cape. And the cape's got a nice flow to it. You can get some really good poses out of that cape with the wiring and everything. So let's go ahead and talk about the articulation. Shredder can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Of course, the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, and they raise up to the sides about that far. The Four Horsemen designed this figure, and they did a good job of getting these shoulder plates so that they can they don't really interfere with the articulation too much. So good on them for that. He's got a bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all the way around. Of course, that joint is kind of rendered moot by the fact that he's got a single joint at the of articulation at the elbow, which bends in about that far, and then that rotates all the way around. So one of those joints is superfluous. But I'm not going to complain. Any kind of extra articulation is good, right? So anyway, rotates all the way around at the wrists, and that's got a horizontal joint on it. I believe all these hands have horizontal joints on there. Yes, I'm correct. He rotates all the way around at the waist, and does have a slight wobble there, but not a whole lot. Shredder can kick up about that far, which, you know, is pretty decent for a Ninja Master, but not the best we have ever seen. And then, of course, has a thigh cut that rotates all the way around, but it does kind of bump into the pelvis there a little bit. He can do the splits no problem, which, again, you know, very Jean-Claude Van Damme, so that's cool. He's got a single joint of articulation at the knee, which seems really stiff on this one, but I managed to get it to do that. And like I said before, the placement of where they put the knee joint is unfortunate because if they'd have put it if they'd have put the joint on the knee rather than the thigh, that would have helped with the articulation, I think, a bit. But whatever, it is what it is. That does rotate all the way around. He doesn't have a boot cut. Oh, he does have a boot cut. I'm sorry. So that makes that knee articulation choice even weirder. Foot can point down about that far. Foot can point down up about that far, and then rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the shin, or where the foot meets the ankle. I don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah, pretty decent articulation. Obviously, it's the same articulation that the previous Shredder figure had, since you know, it's the same figure, just repainted. All right, so let's have a look at him with some of these accessories. We can play around with these a little bit. And like I said, I'm just going to leave these gripping hands on him because those are the hands that I like the best. I'm not going to bother to swap him out because, like, he's already got the best hands on there. So we can have him with some of the... Here's the fist dagger. And unfortunately, because of the way that his wrist is positioned, you can see he's kind of got it pointing down a little bit. This is a weapon, I think, where like a vertical hinge on the wrist would have come in handy rather than a horizontal hinge, and then he could have it pointed a little more upright. As it is, it's kind of drooping. Well, we all have that problem from time to time, Shredder, especially as we get older. And then the hands themselves are rather rigid. Which is annoying when you want to try to put accessories into them. So here he is with the comma. And I do feel like I've mentioned before, these accessories oftentimes seem like they're a little undersized. I don't think this is much bigger, and it might even be a little smaller if I had it to compare with the comma that came with the original Playmates figures. But it is a bit pointier, and of course it's painted, so that's nice. And I always liked this particular weapon. I always thought this was a good weapon to give to the Shredder, because it was one that none of the other turtles, it wasn't any of their main, they all came with one, but it wasn't their main weapon, you know what I mean? So and especially if you doubled it up, gave them 2 of these, that would look really cool. What I would have done, hopefully one action figure manufacturer will think to do this at some point, is to make one of these where it can attach to a staff. Because I think if you had this attached to a staff, like a spear, like the Shredder oftentimes uses a spear as a weapon, I think that would be really cool. So we'll get both of those out of there. And we might as well try the throwing star in the hand and see if we can get him to hold that at all. If you pinch it between his thumb and his forefinger, he can kind of hold it, but then it just falls out. It didn't stay in there. So now it fell on my floor. It could be anywhere. It could have bounced under my couch, for all I know. But let's move on to the Shredder's katana. And like I said, he's got 2 of them in here, so that's cool. And again, it's just kind of being a pain because those hands are so rigid to get those in there. But we can get them in there. I've had worse. So there he is, dual wielding with both of his katana. It's nice that they gave him 2 katana. I think I'd rather have 2 katana than another weapons tree, if I'm being honest, since it would have been identical to the weapons tree that the previous Shredder came with anyway, unless they molded it in purple or something like that. But yeah, there he is with the 2 swords, and he looks really cool with the 2 swords. I think that turned out pretty well. I don't usually use extra weapons with the Shredder all that often, because I kind of feel like with his bladed armor, the Shredder kind of already is a weapon and doesn't really need any extra swords or anything. But, you know, he still had sword fights with Splinter and Leonardo, so it's fine to have him with 2 swords like that. And hey, if we want to recreate that final duel that he had with Leonardo in the comic books, whoosh, there he goes, jumping past him and chopping its head off, and there it goes, flying away. Oh. And then Leonardo can take the Shredder's head. Yeah, very cool. So I'm gonna put the shadowy Mirage head back on there, because I think that'll be the best head to take the picture of the thumbnail with. Now that's kind of interesting. There's a little bit of exposed skin in between. I hadn't noticed while the head was actually on there. There's a little bit of exposed skin in between the wraps around his neck and the where the head actually attaches. Oops, I dropped the cape. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was about to put the head back on there without the cape, and then I would have to take it right back off to put the cape back on. I'm going to pop that back on there. Yeah. This one should pop easier because of, yeah, there we go. I heard it pop that time because that was the one that was actually on his neck in the package. So now I'm curious, because I don't remember if maybe I didn't notice if this version of the Shredder had. Nope, he's just got purple all the way up. So I wonder why they chose to do that this time. That's interesting. Anyway, I haven't seen a whole lot of reviews on this version of the Shredder online. I've only seen one that I can recall, and maybe there's more, and I just haven't been able to find them on YouTube. But it seems like this is a figure that a lot of people have slept on, and it's a really cool figure. I think this figure I like slightly better than the previous one. If I had to choose one over the other, I would choose this one with the silver armor. Now, when I first bought this one, and I would want to have both of these. And if the positions were reversed and I bought this one first, I still would have bought this one later. Because I do like the nostalgia of the original Playmates design. I think that's pretty cool. But this guy, I do think it's slightly cooler looking with the silver armor, if I'm being honest. And and like I haven't seen a whole lot of reviews, like I said, on YouTube about this guy. I kind of feel like a lot of people look at him and be like, it's just another repaint. What do I need? I already have the blue shredder. It's not that much different. Maybe it's one of those sort of things, and that's why you haven't seen a whole lot of these unboxed on YouTube. But yeah, I feel like people are kind of sleeping on him, and he's a really cool figure. And I guess if I had to pick only one, I would pick this one. But I'm glad I have both. But yeah, so I really like this Shredder figure. I'm glad that I bought him. I'm glad that I went ahead and bought a repaint because it's a really cool repaint. I don't ever mind repaint figures as long as they do something cool with it. And they did do something cool with this one. Now, that having been said, I think I would have liked it slightly better even if they had painted in the gray on his. If they had given him a gray chest to more match the original Toon Shredder figure, I think that would have been an improvement they could have made to this figure. I'm just armchair quarterbacking it at this point, and I'm just kind of nitpicking. But yeah, I think that a gray torso would have probably pushed this figure over the edge, and maybe more people would have been willing to pay a little bit more money for a repaint of a figure they already had, because it would have been like a little more unique than he's just got silver armor. Then he would have had a shirt at least. I don't know. That's just me speculating on what people's thought process was as far as this figure. But I think he's really cool, and I'm glad that I went ahead and picked him up. And I almost, almost didn't have him in the more recent Big Bad Toy Store order, but I figured, what the hell, I'll go ahead and pick him up, and I'm glad I did. So, and I think that was the only Ninja Turtle thing that I had in that order, if I remember correctly. I had a G.I. Joe figure because I had a Lifeline, and mostly it was He-Man stuff in that order. Max Games and Toys is here and says, the Mighty Allen, and says, that's a great figure. I think so. Like I said, I think I like him at least slightly better even than the original Playmates colored version, but they're both really cool, and I'm glad to have both of them. So I'm glad to have, and we still got a lot more Super 7 to open up. I'm not done with Ninja Turtles by a long shot. The next figure, we're going to go ahead, since we're on villains, we might as well open up the Mauser next. And then we still got Splinter and all four of the boys. So we've got all of those to open up. And then I'm going to move on to some DC Multiverse, because it's been too long since I opened up Mr. Terrific yesterday, but since we really got into DC Multiverse, and I've got a bunch of those that I got to open up that I'm really excited about. Like, we got a bunch of those I've been sitting on for a while because because just got just had a whole lot of He-Man, and then a whole lot of Ninja Turtles, and a whole lot of Ninja Turtles, then a whole lot of He-Man, then a whole lot of Ninja Turtles. But we're going to get back onto that DC Multiverse horse again. We got a bunch of Superman. We got a bunch of Batman. I've got Zatanna. I've got Blackfire. I've got Red Tornado. I've got the Flash and Titano. Don't use Hamlet with Motu. That's an inside joke for anybody who's on my Facebook. And then right after that, I found like the picture from the play where David Tennant was Hamlet and Patrick Stewart was Claudius, and it was the same exact scene that I was referencing from Hamlet to begin with. So you got David Tennant with a knife about to stab Patrick Stewart in the back. Doctor Who's about to kill Captain Picard. Oh man, that's one of those things. Like it says that in the post that I shared on Facebook, is that like, there's like, you could just look at that as stunt casting. Oh, they got Doctor Who and Captain Picard to be in Hamlet, but like those dudes are like just great actors, like in addition to being like science fiction icons. So man, wouldn't it be cool to see William Shatner and Patrick Stewart do some Shakespeare together? That would be awesome. But and like Shatner's still around. He's like 96, but he's still sharp and active. And yeah, I hope Shatner lives forever. My heart will be broken whenever William Shatner's gone. Just totally shattered. I will be inconsolable. But anyway, I think that's it for the Shredder. Great figure, definitely worth picking up, even if you already have the previous one. And if you don't already have the previous one and you just want one Shredder, go ahead and get this guy because he's awesome. And like I said, I haven't seen that many unboxings of this figure on YouTube. I think a lot of people turned their nose up at him, and I think that was an unfair assessment. And if you're one of those who wasn't really that interested in this figure because you already had the previous one, maybe think about it. He's not too expensive on Big Bad Toy Store right now. Like I said, he's a little more expensive than the blue version, but it's worth picking up, I think. So next episode is going to be the Mousers, and then we'll do Splinter, and then finally the Ninja Turtles themselves, and then we'll get on to some DC multiverse stuff. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss any of that, make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about Mr. Oroku Saki here. And YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe. So please make sure that you like and subscribe so that YouTube will push my videos further out there in the algorithm. More people will see them. More people will hear me say like and subscribe, and then they will like and subscribe, and it will continue, and the channel will grow, and it'll be great. We'll all have a fun time. And then let's see what else. Oh yeah, leave a comment because I like it when you leave comments and let me know what you think about this guy. And that's pretty much it for this episode. Next episode's the Mousers. Maybe that'll be tomorrow. Who knows? We'll talk to you next time. Bye.